G'day, it's Nick from Deuce Gym here with today's training. We're starting off with our straddle series, which you might remember from last week. Today I want to give you an extra challenge. We're going to be in this straddle formation, and when we hit that formation, I want to challenge you to make your leg as rigid, as tight, as tense as you can. Even extra credit to point the toe there. That may lock up the hip flexor or the quad. So if you need a preparation plan, you can stretch into a saddle, leaning back to make the stretch harder. Don't arch up. Keep the abs on so that the stretch stays through the front of the leg. Likewise, hip flexor stretch, 90 and 90. Tight abs, drive forward until you feel a stretch in the front of the hip. When we get to our straddle, you're going to take the widest stance that you can with your legs apart. That's still comfortable, still doable. This is going to be easier the more you lean back. So find something that's challenging, find your edge. The further forward you lean, the harder it's going to be. Once we've found where that position is, fingertips to the floor, and we're starting off, we're just raising up with a pause. Raising up with a pause. Then we're going into our rotations, starting clockwise and counterclockwise. So you're doing 8 raises, 5 clockwise, 5 counterclockwise for 2 rounds. Part 2 of our training today is part of our apnea series. So we've got an inhale, breath hold. The format here is at the top of each minute, you take an inhale and hold. That first round you hold for 20 seconds. From then on, at the top of each minute, you hold for 5 additional seconds. And your score is going to be your longest successful hold with a maximum score of 60 seconds. When you take that inhale, we don't want the shoulders coming up to the ears. We don't want the chest rising like this. We want to give ourselves a cue. So imagine your hands are a tight belt. And when we inhale, we want to feel some pressure through the obliques, driving our belly outwards. From there, that's when you commence your hold. Last piece of the day is going to be 22 minutes of walking lunges. So if you've been keeping up with our lunge series, you might have an idea of your target, how many reps you're going to try and get. What have you got last week? Let's try and push and get a little more. If we are limited for space, we can go on the spot, but otherwise we're going to make these moving. What I want to think about is my back leg, the knee is going to touch, and I'm trying to hit a 90-90 position with the back leg and the front leg, and then driving up with about 80 or 90% of the force going through the front leg. So the other thing to think about with our balance, we don't want to be too narrow in our feet or we're walking a tightrope, so we can be just outside the hips so that we have a lot more stability as we progress through these reps. Really push yourself on these. 22 minutes is a long time. Keep the intensity up. Don't kind of lose focus on these. And like I said, try to beat last week's score.